Being a huge Star Wars fan and a fan of the original PS2 Battlefront games, I was disappointed with EA DICE's 2015 Star Wars Battlefront. It was my first game on the new generations of console, and I was blown away by the stunning graphics and solid gameplay. I could really tell that developers were true Star Wars fans like myself and duplicated the world of Star Wars to perfection. However, it was just too damn limited. There was no single player mode, limited game modes, and not nearly enough maps. I played the game for a few days and found myself bored very quickly. That's why I was absolutely delighted to hear that Battlefront 2 was going to combat all of those problems. The developers announced that there was going to be a single player story mode. They also announced that they were keeping couch co-op, which is a personal preference. And what finally got me most excited was that they were expanding into the 3 Star Wars timelines. The prequels, where you can play as droids and clones, the originals as rebels and stormtroopers, and the current films as the Resistance and the New Order. It was going to be a Star Wars nerd's dream game. Things were looking groovier than a Mos Eisley Cantina band until EA started going back to its old tricks. EA announced that they were going to introduce a loot box system to their new Star Wars game. Put simply, this meant that players can pay money for random materials in the game. The more money you pay, the more loot boxes you can buy, the more chance you have of getting a rare character skin, or more importantly, a good weapon. Considering that the majority of Battlefront is competitive multiplayer, this meant that players with the cash to spend are likely to splash out and have superior weapons than your average gamer, giving them an advantage when competing.
Right, Luke, basically, we're going to introduce loot box systems into the new Star Wars Battlefront 2 game.
EA basically created a pay-to-win system, and considering this game is a minimum 60 quid, this is a serious slap in the face to consumers. The second controversy about the release of the game was that it became apparent that popular characters like Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader would be unplayable until the player receives 60,000 credits each in the game.
Jesus.
Player receives credits by playing the game, and it's estimated that to receive 60,000 credits, player would have to play over 40 hours of the game.
And as well, if you want to play as myself or yourself, you're going to have to play over 40 hours of gameplay.
Jesus.
This was not well received by consumers at all, and EA's explanation for its decision is currently the most downvoted comment in Reddit history. It wouldn't surprise me to find out that Supreme Leader Snoke is actually just the president of EA. With all this controversy aside, I decided to try and experience the game without any bias.
Whoa!
Much like 2015's Battlefront, Battlefront 2 is truly stunning. The explosions caused by grenades and tanks look almost real and are exactly like the effects used in the original film. The space battles are incredibly detailed, the flare off the troopers' armours give an authentic feel, and the droids exploding when you blast them is extremely satisfying.
Yeah.
There are a lot more locations to play in the new Battlefront, and the list has a lot of diversity. You can explore the beachhead in Kashyyyk, the Jedi Temple, and of course the classic Echo Base in Hoth. All of the locations are beautifully designed and give the player an immersive experience into the Star Wars world. There's so much going on at all times. What's that thing? Who shot that? Is that an Ewok? It's Yoda! What I enjoyed about the first Battlefront was as soon as you played it, you knew exactly what to do. Go over there and shoot the other guys. When I started the multiplayer in Battlefront 2, things got a bit overwhelming. I hadn't a clue what I was doing and found myself shooting at everything in sight and getting blasted constantly.
Jesus.
But as soon as I got used to the controls, the game types and the progression system, I really started to take the game to stride.
Yeah, how'd you like them space apples?
For the multiplayer, Battlefront's developers have expanded their roster for game modes. Players can now battle online in strike matches, an 8v8 objection-based scenario, blast, a close quarters combat match, starfighter assault using X-Wings and TIE fighters and bombers to battle out in the sky, arcade mode for a player who just wants to play against an AI or team up using split screen, and finally Galactic Assault, the most popular mode with a massive 20-on-20 online mode that has unique missions depending on the planet you're on. Usually they all involve blowing something up. When playing these modes, the player selects between a roster of 4 different character classes: Assault, Heavy, Officer or Specialist. As the game progresses, that player can start to use special units like Jet Troopers or Wookiees, vehicles like an AT-ST, or even heroes like Yoda and Kylo Ren.
Kylo Ren, baby!
What I was most impressed with when playing Star Wars was the story mode, which follows Commander Eden Versio and gives the player the point of view of the Empire after Return of the Jedi. The gameplay is a lot more laid back than the multiplayer. Feels like a different game. Good plot, the new interesting characters, and good gameplay really made the 7-hour campaign into an enjoyable one, and a nice break from constantly getting shot in the face.
For fuck.
To conclude, Battlefront is a huge improvement from the last, even if it still has its faults. The campaign is solid and isn't just put to the side like I was expecting. Even though the online systems are a bit shady, the multiplayer is extremely exciting and will have you playing game after game after game. Regardless of the controversy surrounding the game's release, I still give Star Wars Battlefront 2 a 7 out of 10. Minus 670,000 downvotes.
Yeah!